The Carix Dominion had ruled the outer spiral arms of the galaxy for 10,000 years. Their empire was built on chains of living alloy that bound slaves by both body and soul. Worlds bent the knee, species were harvested, and resistance was a word erased from their tongues. When the Carix found humanity's outlying colony on Vera's Reach, they did not see equals. They saw raw material. To them, Earth was a quaint, unblooded world, untested by galactic war, a civilization barely crawling beyond its own star. So, the Carix came with fire. The colony was encircled by their warships like a predator tightening its jaws. Broadcasts filled human comms, the Carix Archon boasting that the newcomers would be made examples. With laughter in their clicking voices, they released the chains of subjugation, those black metal tendrils said to be stronger than neutronium, a steel no blade nor plasma could cut. Every colonist was bound. Some screamed, some begged, but none were spared. The Archon spoke to the galaxy as he crushed the human governor beneath one clawed limb. Observe, lesser species. This is what becomes of those who dream too brightly. Humanity will kneel, or humanity will burn. The Veran colony was silenced in a single night. Millions enslaved. The transmission was replayed across every system under Dominion control. The chains shimmered, gleaming in alien light, and the Carix rejoiced. The mockery of the conquerors for cycles after the conquest, the Carix mocked Earth. They called humans the tender flame, destined only to sputter out when true storms rose. In Dominion halls, senators sneered over goblets of molten crystal, scoffing at how fragile the upstarts from Sol had been. Even among the enslaved, the Carix flaunted their dominance. Colonists were paraded in front of alien crowds, their chains displayed as trophies. The Dominion declared that human fire had been extinguished, its sparks swallowed. They are too young, too small, one admiral jeered to his peers. The Earthborn will protest, but their protest will be nothing but whimpers against iron walls. Civilized races do not burn back, another sneered. They negotiate, they beg, they vanish into obedience. And so, the Dominion celebrated their easy conquest. In their arrogance, they broadcast the destruction of Vera's Reach again and again, certain that humanity would bow to inevitability. The smoldering silence. But Earth said nothing. There was no protest sent across the stars, no official statement, no plea for aid, just silence. A silence that stretched across months. To the Carix, this was proof of victory. To the galaxy's other species, it was unsettling. Whispers began to spread. Humanity was not negotiating, not pleading. They were listening. In the deep void, Earth's fleets stirred. Shipyards lit the black with a forge fire glow. Massive carriers, long-thought dormant relics of Earth's wars, rolled from their hidden docks. Mars reactivated its foundries, and Titan's refineries pulsed with rivers of molten metal. Earth's silence was not surrender. It was preparation. When the first encoded distress signals smuggled out of Vera's Reach returned to Sol, something ancient ignited in humanity's collective soul. Rage. The kind of rage no alien empire had ever truly faced. The breaking of chains, the eye. First sign came when a Carix transport convoy failed to arrive at its station. Weeks later, another disappeared, then a third. At first, the Dominion suspected piracy, but soon, wreckage began to drift into their systems. Charred hulks of once proud Carix warships. Their hulls melted, their crews annihilated. A voice came with the wrecks, carried on encrypted signals the Carix could not block. Your chains cannot hold fire. At first, the Dominion laughed, until fleets began to vanish, until their fortified outposts, defended for millennia, were consumed in a single night of orbital fire, until their admirals reported a new presence in the void, human dreadnoughts, ships darker than space itself, bristling with weapons, moving with impossible precision. And when they struck, their volleys were not battles, they were executions. Human marines boarded slave ships and ripped apart the black chains with fusion torches and magnetic hammers, freeing those bound. Survivors whispered that the humans burned with such fury their very presence made the alien alloy soften and split. The galaxy learned then, human fire melted chains stronger than alien steel. The flames of retaliation, the Dominion mobilized. Dozens of fleets, thousands of ships, centuries of confidence. They advanced to meet the humans in open war. And then, Earth answered. The void above the Dominion's core worlds darkened as human fleets emerged in numbers no one had predicted. Carriers the size of continents, swarms of drones that moved like storms, planet-killer cannons that roared with solar fury. The humans did not issue ultimatums. They did not negotiate. Their message was fire. On the first day, They erased 5 Carix fleets. On the second, they burned through orbital fortresses once thought impregnable. By the third, the Dominion's leaders began to whisper of retreat. But humanity did not permit escape. The humans had come for vengeance, not war. Every chain world was stormed, every prison torn apart. Human shock troopers descended like meteors, their armor glowing with heat, their blades cutting through soldiers and slavers alike. No plea for mercy slowed them. No surrender flag was recognized. This was not conquest. This was judgment. Firestorm. Over empires in the Dominion's capital, the Archon who had mocked humanity watched his throne world burn. The skies were filled with fire as human carriers blotted out the sun. His chains, those vaunted symbols of eternity, cracked and melted as the humans breached his palace. The last broadcast of the Archon was not a boast, but a scream cut short as human fire consumed his citadel. Across the galaxy, other species watched in awe and horror. The humans did not simply win battles. They unmade empires. Dominion fleets that had ruled for centuries were now nothing but drifting ash. Chains once thought eternal lay in molten pools, useless against the firestorm that Earth had unleashed. The Dominion, a civilization older than most stars, was extinguished in less than a year. The aftermath of ashes, when the fires dimmed, silence returned. But it was not the silence of surrender. It was the silence of fear. The galaxy whispered of Earth in tones reserved for gods and monsters. They whispered of how the humans had not spoken, had not begged, had not threatened. They had simply burned. On the liberated worlds, freed slaves told stories that spread like wildfire. Of soldiers who broke their chains with bare hands. Of fleets that moved like shadows. Of a wrath so absolute it melted steel that no empire had ever broken. At the edges of every council, leaders spoke one phrase: never provoke Earth again, because they now understood. Humanity's patience was vast, their silence long. But when that silence ended, when the fire within them was loosed, nothing in the galaxy, no chain, no empire, no throne, could withstand it. Human fire had melted chains stronger than alien steel, and it would burn forever in the memory of the stars.